Welcome to Monster Monday. So, continuing on with the Romero Dead franchise, we've got Land of the Dead, which I have not seen in a long time. Let me tell you something right now. This says unrated director's cut at the top, but you know what it should say? It's a word that I rarely ever use. It should say underrated director's cut. Holy shit. This fucking surprised the hell out of me. I didn't remember my thoughts on this very much. I just remember being kind of like, yeah, it was fun or whatever. Dude, I was shocked at how much I enjoyed this one. Like, I really like this one so much that I'm like, how does this not get brought up with the original three? Like, I think it's that good. Like, I would argue that on multiple watches of this is going to be my favorite of the entire franchise. Now, I still haven't watched the other two. I highly doubt that we'll get in any territory like this. I would love to be surprised. I'm always fine with being the odd man out. You know, I know a lot of people are like, day or dawn or night. Dude, Land. Why is that not in the discussion? This is such a cool film. The gore is on point. Holy shit. The characters are rad, man. I loved the characters in this. I love the setting. I love the story. I love Dead Reckoning. I loved all this shit, man. I really have almost no negatives outside of the CGI. There's some CG in here that's spotty, and I don't like it. But outside of that, there's a shit ton of amazing practical effects work. Now, Savini has been replaced here with Kurtzman. And, dude, I would argue, outside of the CGI, this has possibly the best gore in the franchise. I know, here's yet another fucking controversial opinion, but I feel like people can't see past certain things. They're like, nope, Day is 85, so it's better. Like, how dare you question that? There's no way it could ever be better. Nothing, no gore, no nothing. That's the pinnacle. That's the tippy top. Nothing can touch it. If something comes around and has better practical effects than John Carpenter's The Thing, let's say that this Thing prequel or sequel or remake or whatever the hell they're teasing right now with John Carpenter, if they were to come out with that movie and they did all practical effects and the practical effects were fucking phenomenal and legit better than Carpenter's Thing, I would be the first fucking person to be right here in front of everyone being like, dude, the practicals in this movie are better. And I would get chastised. Even if they were clearly better, there's so many people that would fucking be like, no way. They would have the nostalgia filters on, blinded. Now, I'm not saying an argument. Like, there's not an argument against it. I'm saying like 100%. And this is a fucking opinion anyway. That being said, I think it's on par, if not better. The practicals in this movie, the kills, the fucking gore in this is phenomenal. It's phenomenal, man. There's just people getting torn apart. Some wild shit that's in none of the other movies. Some wildly inventive stuff that I was like, whoa, what is that? But I think people might remember some of the CG stuff, so they're like, oh, no, you can't compare the two because of some of that CG stuff. Fucking throw that CG stuff aside. Throw it aside and focus on what you see within the practicals in this movie, and they're phenomenal stuff. I mean, great gore, man, across the board. I was really impressed. I liked freaking all these characters. I like Riley, the lead, a good amount. We got Asha Argento in this, who's hot as fuck and is a really cool character. You got Dennis Hopper in this, who's this total scumbag, who's like and there's a total social commentary of this movie. And this might have the most like obvious social commentary of the entire franchise. We'll see about the next two. It's been a long time. I've only seen those once each. And I think I've only seen this twice. I saw in theaters, which I saw with my girlfriend at that time, and we had to leave the theater about 10 minutes in because she started bawling and she couldn't handle it. She was just like, my friend shot himself in the head, and every 5 seconds a zombie or some kid pulled a gun and shot himself in the opening. pretty quick in, and she just started bawling. And of course, I'm not going to sit there and make her fucking sit through something that's absolutely making her miserable. To be honest, though, back then I was probably really hard on her. I probably had no sympathy, and I was a fucking dick for that, for sure. Like I know myself, and I know how I would have been back then, and I would have been like, oh, not like, I wouldn't have probably been like outright like, hey, you're a fucking pussy, but I mean, I basically probably said something along those lines. So I don't know. I'm not gonna try to pretend like I'm some fucking perfect person. I am not. I have all sorts of past and present issues that I deal with, as we all do. Let's all stop pretending that, like on Instagram, we always make our life look so perfect. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I always look great. Or you have that one friend who never posts anything positive, and all they do is bitch. And those, I don't know, both seem very unimportant to me, or toxic at times. But yeah, I wasn't particularly nice to her about it. It was kind of like, you're being a pussy or something. That's shitty. That's a long time ago, though. 14 years. No, 15. Fuck, 15 years ago. Jesus Christ. But doesn't excuse it. Moving on. And we got John Leguizamo in here. John Leguizamo plays Cholo, and love him. Love him in this movie. Love him in everything. Whether he's Toulouse in freaking Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge, or whatever. You name it, man. John Leguizamo's awesome. He's so great. And I love him in this movie. There's not really a character I dislike. Like, I like everybody. I think everyone's great at the roles that they play. And the story behind this might be my favorite story of the franchise. This whole, like class war, where you've got all the people out on the street, and then you got the 1% up in their high tower, and they're living the life, and of course the scum down here can never really make it in, and then there's that like American dream that Cholo has, that he can make it in, and then they of course snub him, and they're like, you're never coming in here, you're never actually going to be here, which of course makes him rebel. And that's when wars start, is because these people, they have to be checked. They've been on top for too long, and someone's going to be their dead reckoning. And that, it's of course kind of like that name of the truck, the whatever you want to call that thing, kind of sets up what's coming. There's the dead's reckoning is coming. So it's like a double entendre kind of thing. But yeah, I dig the shit out of that. I like the very obvious social commentary, as I said. You got the 1%, and then you got all us fucking idiots down in the street. And we always think, oh, we'll get up there one day. Well, one day we'll get up there. And it's like, no, you won't. No, you won't. More than likely, no, you won't. When I threw on this DVD, I need to get that Scream Factory edition now. I definitely want it, because this is a good looking movie, man. This is really well shot. There was a advertisement for the Land of the Dead Road to Grove. What is it? What the fuck's this thing called in here? Grover's something. But yeah, Fiddler's Green. Fiddler's Green, that's what it is. Grover's. I don't know where the hell I was getting that one from. But Road to Fiddler's Green was the name of the game. Man, you want to talk about dog shit. Holy hell, did that game look bad by comparison of today's standards of video games. It even looks bad for when that would have came out. It was terrible. It looked like freaking Resident Evil Part 1 on the PlayStation. I mean, just boxy garbage effects for a video game. 2005, that would have been what? The PS3 would have been out by then. Like, how the fuck did that look so bad when PS3 would have existed by that point? I would think PS3 yeah, would have just like kind of been released. 2005, 2004, somewhere in there is when PS3 came out. Anyway, alright, moving on. I just thought it was funny. I didn't even know there was a Land of the Dead video game until I threw this on and saw how shitty it looked and was like, wow, no wonder I don't know that thing exists. And I like the people down there have like a zombie carnival, and they, it's very much set up like Rome, and even like now, of course, you could place comparisons all across the board to how modern society acts like Rome, where we entertain the masses to keep us kind of docile. That's how it is here. Dennis Hopper's character is control of everything, and he puts on the games, and it's kind of what like Asha Argento is talking about in this. She's just like, if you can shoot it, if you can fuck it, if you can sell it, like he's got his fingers in it. Like, he controls everything. It's to keep us all, and she's part of it. I mean, she's thrown in a cage, and she's part of entertainment because she wouldn't go along with whatever the hell she was being told, and so she's just part of the entertainment, and they're just going to throw her ass in the cage, and they're going to let these zombies fight over her. Now, I don't know what the bets were. Was it like that black or red was going to kill her first, get the first bite in? That's how you win? I don't know. Are they going to fight each other over the scraps of her body? I mean, they don't really do that when they're eating people. They kind of like all just work on certain areas. They'll pull from each other a little bit, but they don't really attack each other. Zombie is pretty heavily mentioned in this movie. We see in the carnival, it's written on there, like, take a picture with a zombie. And then I think Dennis Hopper's character even says the word zombie. There's a few mentions of the word zombie in here, so it's very much zombie by this point in the franchise, which was good. And, I mean, so Riley, our main character here, talks about how everything changed, and he was basically an adult at that point. So this is yet again, like, I feel like essentially what you have to do with this franchise is, even though these are taking place during different eras, obviously, you just got to say, like, this sequel takes place in this time period that we live in, but that is running concurrently with 1968's Night of the Living Dead. Like, basically, they just didn't make it a period piece. Like, just say it's that time in your head, and that's that. Like, that's what you basically have to do with this franchise. They're all taking place during 1968, even if the film contradicts that by introducing, like, Salem's Lot or something by Stephen King, where you're just like, okay, it's clearly not that era. But you have to see these films if you want them to be a franchise. You have to just say they are all taking place at the same time, and I don't care what the time period says it is. That's the way that I'm gonna make this work, because this is clearly much later on, and Riley was older when this happened. He even had to kill his brother and all this stuff, and sure shit did not happen in 1968. It didn't happen in 1978. It didn't happen. This is 20 years after freaking Day of the Dead. There's a long gap between these two films. And then there's this little shootout with Riley and everybody, and what does he call the guy? Chihuahua. There's a lot of these really funny Mexican names in this. Cholo, Chihuahua. Can't remember what. There was a couple other ones. I was just laughing. I was like, those are such unbelievably stereotypical ass Mexican names you could come up with. But very Mexican or Latino cast here, which is kind of cool. As I said, I really liked all the characters. I liked the big Samoan guy. I thought a lot of really funny lines in this too. I liked a lot of funny lines, like the 50,000 cars in Samoa, and are stolen. And she's like, oh, so many million in Detroit, 5 million or something. He's like, yeah, but there's like 500 million cars there. There's only 50,000 cars in Samoa, all stolen. That kind of stuff is so funny. That was so funny. Like, so many great lines in this. So many, like, there's some such fun, clever, self-aware humor in this, and I just really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed so many lines in this movie. Dude, I'm not kidding. Like, this was the most entertaining watch for me of the 4 so far. So, what does that mean? Does that mean this is my favorite one? Maybe. I'm fine with that. I'm not a contrarian. I don't purposely like other things more to be like, look at me, I'm unique. Fuck that. I just like what I like, and that's what I say. Period. And I just enjoyed this one the most. I'm not gonna lie about it. If you keep seeing that light flickering, that's my air conditioner in the room, and it just like it's overloading the circuit, and it keeps like blowing the fuse a little bit, and then kicking itself back on. It's driving me crazy. Man, who has more technical issues than me? Ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous, man. And then this whole like we got Big Daddy. Now Big Daddy is like the bub of this movie, and the zombies have once again evolved to the point where they, you know, they band together and they form like a zombie army, and it's the land of the dead. They have come to seek their vengeance, the dead reckoning. This is their world now. They're looking for their place, as Riley says at the end. Like, and Big Daddy sees that they're being slaughtered. And there's even a line where that kid's like, I thought there was going to be a fight. This is just a fucking massacre. Like, these guys are just getting their asses slaughtered. Now, whether or not we're supposed to feel sympathy for the zombies is unclear to me, but it is kind of portrayed that way. And in that, I'm not with them at all. These are brain dead fucking monsters. I don't care what way you spin that. You know, Big Daddy, they're murdering people and eating them for like consumption. No. Like, no. And maybe, yeah, I don't see it if they're trying to sell it that way, but that is the way they're playing Big Daddy, because Big Daddy comes in and every time like his people are being wronged or oppressed or something, he's like, he's all pissed. He's pissed off. He wants revenge. He even fucking goes in and finds the leader of this whole operation and blows him up. And I'm like, dude, this guy has an agenda. He teaches his troopers how to freaking like swim, walk across an ocean floor. He gives them weapons. He shows them how to fire weapons like guns. He leads them to places and has them utilize their tools to break through walls and glass. Like, this guy is a leader. This is like their general. This is their freaking commander-in-chief. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's like the next step in the evolution of the zombie film that Romero is making. You know, you see a little bit of it in every one of these movies, that the zombies have some kind of cognitive abilities. Like, there's some reminiscence of what was once, and it gets a little more prevalent as the films progress. And I will definitely be curious where Diary of the Dead goes with the next one. I just don't remember liking Diary or Survival much at all. So I'll be very curious, and I really, really hope that I'm surprised. I'm really excited that the next one's found footage, because I really like found footage films. And so to see that a Dead film is found footage, very few big franchises actually go to found footage within the franchise. So you don't see that very much. I've heard it teased a lot. Like Friday the 13th was supposed to have a found footage one. Halloween was playing around with a found footage one. Like they've talked about it with a decent amount of franchises, but Romero's double trilogy was the one that I want to say is maybe the only one that's done it. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm just forgetting one off the top of my head, an obvious one, but I don't remember any franchises that were like straight and then multiple entries in the whole film just was found footage, because that was the style of the time. But as I said, I could be completely forgetting one right now, and please let me know. And then the burnt face guy, I can't remember what his name is right now. He's really fun. I really like his character. I really like his lines. I really like his performance. I like that he licks his sights so that he has... Now, there's a lot of, like, gun shooting in this where people are way too close for comfort when they're saving them. I mean, this happens so many times in the film. 4 or 5 times in the film. There's someone that's, like, going to shoot right next to somebody, and like just like you can see the air like blow their hair back. It's so close to their head, and the burn face guy even gets his freaking ear shot every time Asha fires the gun. It essentially almost kills somebody besides what she's aiming at. So you would think maybe these guys could yell duck or hey behind you, but no, they depend on their accuracy. But and then this kid is supposed to wait in this place for the money to show up, and he decides to throw on headphones. When he's in zombie territory, he decides to throw on headphones and skateboard around. Come the fuck on. You deserve to die, you moron. And dude, one of the greatest kills in this movie is a guy goes to throw a grenade and someone chops his hand off. It's a comedian who's dressed up like a zombie. He's a fairly familiar comedian to me, but I can't place exactly what I don't know if he's an actual stand-up or not, but he's always like a comedic character or actor. Anyway, but he gets his hand cut off at the wrist, and the grenade fall, and then he's pushed over onto the grenade, and the grenade blows him up, and fucking pieces go everywhere. Torso, legs, arms, everything just go outwards. It's gnarly and amazing, and I loved it. That was such a cool kill. And I like that when Riley's sent out to get Cholo, like he just kind of takes the reckoning over, and he really has no intention of returning it, and he tries to bring Cholo onto his crew, and Cholo's like, no, I'm gonna go kind of carve out my own path, and he leaves, but they're still buddies. Like, he doesn't go there to kill him. There's no like, they have a little bit of a tiff. They don't see eye to eye on things, but they know that they're in a similar boat. Cholo kind of makes the wrong decision to go off on his own, and he gets himself bit, and then he has that moment, which you never see in this franchise, where he's like, the guy's like, it's your choice. You want me to kill you? And he's like, nah. Like, I've always been curious on how the other half lives. He genuinely wants to be a vampire, a fucking zombie in this movie. I could never seen that before. Like, I want to be a zombie. Like, I've always been curious, like, what happens when you die? Like, I want to know. I want to come back. I can't think of a single zombie movie off the top of my head where that's been done. Where the person's like, no, you know what? I kind of want to know what it's like to be on this other side of things. Like, we fought these things long enough. I've been around them so much. I see them. It's like an afterlife, so to speak. Do I have any kind of like recognition? Do I have any kind of memories in there? Will I kind of live on past this? Like, don't shoot me in the head. I want to see what this is like. That's so interesting. That's so cool. I was like, whoa, wow, okay, yeah, that's a different spin. I don't think I've seen that one before. So yeah, I really liked that. I really liked that moment a lot. And then he goes and he gets his vengeance. Like, he goes there to kill Hopper's character, and I love that shit. Even though it's Big Daddy that goes and ends up ultimately killing both of them, he still goes after him. Now, how the hell he got there on foot before the Dead Reckoning who knows? Especially since he's a zombie by that point. He was slow as fuck. He crossed the river, or did he go across that bridge, or who knows? That was kind of silly to me, but whatever. We got a Tom Savini cameo in here, which is really, really cool. And I don't know if he's supposed to be the biker from Dawn of the Dead in this, but if he is, that's confirmation that zombies age. And blah blah blah. Big Daddy actually puts a bunch of zombies out of their misery. He feels bad for them, so he kills multiple zombies in this to save them from pain or like the inability to go on, which I thought was really interesting. Then there's this guy who's getting his intestines ripped out through his mouth. There's an arm down his throat, and it rips the intestines through his mouth and out. Then there's another guy that they grab his face underneath his lip, and they pull his whole face up out, and his whole skull is exposed, and they start eating it. Amazing shit. Just incredibly inventive, wildly insane, over the top. Great, great stuff. I just don't. And then you even get like a pretty happy ending here, where every character kind of lives. You got the Samoan guy and all that. He like grabs the body and he throws it down. He's like, now we can leave. And then they fire the fireworks off into the sky. The sky flowers, because they don't work on the zombies anymore. And he even has this like kind of send off with Big Daddy, and he tells her like, no, 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 no. They're just trying to find their place, like us. And then they take off, and there's like fireworks going off as they drive off into the moonlight. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's an awesome ending. I love it. It's like everything's where it should be again. Like we're all equals again. We're all out here trying to make it together. You're struggling. There's no classes anymore. There's no people living on the top, giving, taking everything and giving nothing. Like, they've kind of evened the playing field again. As I said, the Dead Reckoning. I just thought it was great. Anybody else a big fan of this one? Anybody else with me on this? Or is everyone going to be like, dude, what are you talking about? This is nowhere near as good as the other ones. I disagree. I totally get the classic feel of the first three movies. I totally get that. And this film is just newer. I think people have a problem with newer stuff. But I thought this was great. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to include this, because I love all four of them so far. I think they're all great in their own way. We'll see what Diary does. I don't have a lot of hope for that one, but we'll see. I'll go in with a clean mind. I'll throw away my preconceived notions of it. But I did see it before, and I just remember being extremely blah on it, as with Survival. But man, those second watches can drastically change my opinion. Any fans of Diary or Survival? Maybe I should continue with this and then do Night of the Living Dead, the Tom Savini remake, Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder remake, and then that's really it. I don't have any interest in doing like the Day of the Dead remakes. There's a couple of them now, like 3 of them or something at this point. There's even that Day of the Dead 2 Contagion or whatever. Like, fuck all those. I own all those, by the way. I own all the Night of the Living Dead movies that they've made. All that bullshit, the 3D one with Sid Haig and the animated one, and I own all that garbage. Like 5 different Night of the Living Deads, I own all of them. But, dude, watching those, fuck, I've tried to watch those before. I've put them on for like 5 minutes and was like, what in the fuck is this? But there is a Night of the Living Dead like sequel supposed to come out with the original Barbara coming back and explaining how she survived the end of the first movie, and it's like takes place nowadays, and really interesting. I think it's been shot, so I'll definitely be looking forward to that one. I forget what it's called, but keep your eye out, and I'll obviously review it as soon as it comes out, if it ever comes out. Adios.